This is BBC World News, the latest headlines. As New York begins the grim task of burying its coronavirus victims, the state's governor reports a fall in admissions to intensive care units for the first time since the outbreak. The UK suffers its highest daily death toll so far. Almost 1,000 more people have died after contracting the coronavirus. It's something we don't want to think about, let alone talk about. But with COVID-19 claiming thousands of lives around the world right now, death is a subject that we can't really escape. Experts say we need to talk to our loved ones about what we want the end of our lives to look like, and that it's better to talk now before it could be too late. So what sort of discussions should we be having? Let's talk to Dr. Catherine Dreger, a primary care doctor in Arlington, Virginia. And I understand, Doctor, that you've written to all your patients explaining what ventilation might look like if they get the coronavirus.
Actually, I was listening to the news and all the information about the shortage of ventilators, but it occurred to me that people didn't understand what a ventilator actually did, and I thought it was important to tell people. We often say we don't want to be hooked up on machines. Well, these are the machines, and this is life support, and I think not everybody wants that, but we won't know if we don't let our wishes be known, if we don't ask.
What did you spell out for them?
The problem with COVID-19, the biggest problem, is that we don't have any treatment for it. So if you had a bacterial pneumonia, we could give you antibiotics, but we don't have any medicines to make your lungs heal. And so for the small percentage of people who get this huge reaction to the virus, the tiny little sacs in their air, in their lungs, at the end of their airways, fill with this kind of gummy fluid. It becomes very, very hard for them to breathe. And so you have to put a tube in the mouth and into the main airway and kind of inflate that lung. But these lungs aren't well. And so you have to blow very hard the air, you have to give the air more force, and you have to add more oxygen to the air. And the way that you do that, it's uncomfortable, so people are put into a coma. They don't know anything about it. But that also means they can't tell us, and they can't tell their family what it is they want. And now family aren't even by the bedside, and then they have to make these big decisions far away from the person they love about how far to go or when to stop or how long to push. And I think that's just terrible suffering. And I think it's so much easier to have that conversation with the people you love now. It may be horrible. It can be very short if you want it to be, but having that conversation and knowing what it is you want and knowing that they know can really reduce a great deal of that suffering and anguish.
Yeah, it's important, isn't it? But equally, I imagine you're spelling that out to some of your sickest patients, but also there are people who survive. I mean, we've seen incredible stories of people who are 100 or over who've survived around the world from this. So they shouldn't give up hope.
No, you shouldn't give up hope. And I'm not in any way suggesting you shouldn't go on a machine, but I do think that if there are people who say to themselves, I don't ever want that, even if it is for COVID-19, then let somebody know. You know, we won't do it to you if you don't want us to, but nobody will know that if you don't tell us. But yes, I mean, it is helping. What it does is life support is just that. It just gives you that time to let the body heal. And if the body heals, then you can come off the ventilator. And if the body doesn't heal, then unfortunately we lose another person. It doesn't mean we don't try. It just means I think we should all ask, okay, do I want that? Do I want to be hooked to a machine? Do I want to be fed through a tube? And how much of this do I want? And then let your loved ones know.
Yeah, it's not a conversation we've had much on our programme, but I can quite understand it. Forewarned, forearmed, as they say.
As they say.
Doctor, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much for your time.